Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ and welcome to your detailed forecast update for November 11th, 2024. We've got a lot to get through today. We're going to talk about a powerful severe thunderstorm outbreak that's expected across areas of southeastern and south central Queensland tonight. I'm going to give a detailed forecast update as well on the severe thunderstorms expected over the next week. Some heavy rainfall also expected into parts of Queensland and New South Wales. I'll give a tropical weather update and we'll recap on those thunderstorms that are currently heading through central parts of the nation as well. All of that plus more coming up in today's weather forecast. And if you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. The support lately has been much really appreciated. However, we're going to get stuck straight into things over in the southeast of Queensland, where some significant severe thunderstorms are expected to blow up tonight. Into this afternoon, we're going to see an outbreak of severe thunderstorms, a very strong and significant outbreak outside of Warwick, Stanthorpe and Toowoomba initially into the afternoon before they extend further out into central Queensland. So let's break down the forecast for you in great detail right now. Showers and storms firing up pretty much from right now. You can't really see them on the radar imagery and the satellite imagery, but I reckon over the next 2 hours, or at least from when this video goes live at around about midday Australian Eastern Standard Time, I reckon these thunderstorms are going to begin to fire up, especially around the Warwick area and then further south towards Toowoomba. We'll also see some thunderstorms fire up pretty much straight away from when this video goes out, outside of Tamworth and Armidale as well into the northeast of New South Wales. Showers and storms also expected to extend out into the Gold Coast, and into the southern suburbs of Brisbane. Showers and storms also expected to begin firing up from around 2 p.m. outside of Injune, Charleville, Tambo and up towards Jericho and Longreach. And these thunderstorms here, they will be few and far between, but they are expected to be strong right out of the gate. Possible severe thunderstorms from around 2 or 3 p.m, most likely at around 4 or 5 p.m. local time outside of Moree and Lightning Ridge into the northeast of New South Wales and then into southeast and south central parts of Queensland between Thallin and out towards St. George, Warwick and Stanthorpe. We are expecting some powerful severe thunderstorms to begin to fire up into the later afternoon hours. These storms will continue deep into the night by around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. This is the look of the forecast at 8 p.m. Here you can still see areas of strong severe thunderstorms expected to be outside of Wollongara and then north up towards Warwick and Toowoomba. Again, more severe thunderstorms possible up towards Chinchilla and Kingaroy. Later on into the night, these thunderstorms will likely expand in terms of area and how many people they're going to be impacting. However, their impacts will likely be slightly reduced. Later on tonight, we're going to see a transition into very wet thunderstorms with a lot of precipitation, slow-moving systems, just dumping 50 to 100 millimeters across a lot of locations in a short period of time. Now, that is also the main threat for this afternoon, but we also do have the risk of large hailstones or medium to large-sized hailstones and some damaging winds later on this afternoon before these storms do transition to pretty much an exclusively very wet thunderstorm outbreak. Yesterday, we had some very high rainfall accumulations, especially around the Toowoomba area and out towards Crow's Nest, with peak rainfall accumulations up towards 60 or 70 millimeters for a lot of places. That's some very high rainfall accumulations, and I'm expecting at least 1 or 2 locations to exceed 100 millimeters tonight from these thunderstorms, most likely around the Queensland and New South Wales border, like I said, around Wollongara and Stanthorpe. That's where the heaviest of falls are expected to be. Further north out towards Chinchilla in Kingaroy, probably just towards the south of Kingaroy, there will also be some very high rainfall accumulations here, but it's just a little bit harder to put a finger on exactly where they are expected to be and exactly when they're expected to be, but this will be more so a later on in the night sort of weather event. In terms of rainfall for Brisbane, it's not expected to be extreme. We will see some high rainfall accumulations around midnight. Same story for the Gold Coast. We're expecting a line of thunderstorms to move through Brisbane and the Gold Coast at around midnight, or at least into the very early hours of tomorrow morning, bringing some heavy showers to the Brisbane metro area and the Gold Coast, and potentially up towards 40 millimeters of rainfall. The Bureau of Meteorology highlighting between 2 and 20 millimeters. I reckon a better number for them right now would be between 10 and 25 or 30 millimeters for Brisbane and a lot of her suburbs. It is going to be a very wet morning tomorrow morning, and then the showers and storms clearing out of the Brisbane metro area by around 7 or 8 a.m, just in time for tomorrow afternoon severe thunderstorm outbreak, but I'll get to that in just a moment. Now, once again, we do actually have a little bit of cloud cover that's going to inhibit some pretty major convective blow-ups later on tonight, and also the satellite imagery coming from the Himawari 9 satellite is also really shoddy at this time, which is why you're getting a lot of these glitches. So I wouldn't rely exclusively on the satellite picture today, but you can see there's quite a lot of cloud cover moving through parts of south central Queensland and then into central Queensland, and that is, like I said yesterday, going to prevent a little bit of that evaporation. It's going to prevent the ground temperatures from getting too warm today, which could inhibit some of those really powerful severe thunderstorms blowing up. However, the convective available potential energy is really good for these thunderstorms here, especially along the New South Wales-Queensland border around Thallon, Moree and Goondiwindi. There are some very good convective available potential energy values through here, which means these thunderstorms are going to have a very easy time to make the most of their environment that they're in. Favourable winds as well. I mean, we can see winds coming out of the north here, bringing that warm, moist air from the Coral Sea and central parts of Queensland. We've got that cool, moist air coming in from the south, the mountainous areas through here, and then we've got some warm air, dry air moving in from more central parts of Australia, and it's all converging here around Thallon, which is why we're going to see the severe thunderstorms blowing up in this area here, and that's why I'm so confident in saying that we are expecting a powerful severe thunderstorm outbreak tonight, with some very nice thunderstorms, a lot of rainfall, a lot of precipitation, a lot of instability in the environment. It is going to be a night, that's for sure. Any questions or comments on this severe thunderstorm outbreak, or if you'd like to know if your exact location is going to get impacts, then please do let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to as many people as I can throughout the course of today. In terms of the forecast for tomorrow and the rest of the week by extension, Tuesday is going to be a similar story. We're expecting severe thunderstorms to fire up into the northeastern parts of New South Wales. These will extend into southern parts of Queensland outside of Warwick and the Gold Coast later on into the night. You can see at around about 3 or 4 p.m. we're expecting severe thunderstorms to be a chance around that Boonah and Beaudesert area, extending up to the Logan City area, but most likely not making it into the Brisbane area until around 5 or 6 p.m, just in time for that evening commute tomorrow. And a couple of good showers and storms are possible later on tomorrow afternoon into the southern suburbs and then into the western suburbs of Brisbane. The Gold Coast are also expecting a few showers and storms tomorrow afternoon. Toowoomba, a couple of showers and storms, and these showers and storms also extending inland. They will be very sparse, but still some showers and storms out towards Roma and Rolleston. Roma, by the way, got a really nice thunderstorm last night, power cuts to the city for quite a few hours. So yeah, they're really in the mix of things in terms of storms right now. And then for Wednesday as well, some more severe thunderstorms are expected. You can see they blow up in dramatic fashion between a line extending from Longreach down into the northeast of New South Wales, with dotted severe thunderstorms expected just in this area here. This is classic Queensland severe thunderstorm 101 in November. This is textbook stuff here. And what we're going to see, if you know what they do get pretty much every day at this time of the year, we get thunderstorms blow up in the early afternoon at around that 2 or 3 p.m. time frame. They're high precipitation at the start, a lot of rainfall, large hailstones, damaging winds for some of these locations out towards Charleville, Injune, Roma, and then up towards Rolleston. And a couple of severe thunderstorms also expected down towards Toowoomba, Brisbane, and the Gold Coast, specifically around sort of Beaudesert and Boonah, and then further north up towards Crow's Nest, and then even as far up as sort of Gympie, some severe thunderstorms also possible. And then later on the afternoon and evening, these storms will transition into a high precipitation squall line between Emerald and Maroochydore, and these storms here will then head to the central Queensland coastline, bringing some heavy rainfall to multiple locations later on into the evening. Now, it is still a big question on Wednesday as to whether Rockhampton, Ogmore, Gladstone, Agnes Water and Bundaberg get some much needed rainfall. Unfortunately, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news here, but the rainfall is going to be very hit and miss along the central Queensland coastline, and a lot of locations are going to miss out. Further inland out towards Emerald, Dingo and Billawheeler, there will be some good falls, and even as far north as Moranbah as well, there will be some good falls, potentially 20 to 30 millimetres of this stuff. Agnes Water, by this forecast here, could get a couple of drops of rainfall, but in terms of good falls for the bigger coastal metro areas, it doesn't look likely at this time. And then later on Wednesday night as well, we've got a classic late night severe thunderstorm outbreak into the northeast of New South Wales. This just looks to be residual thunderstorms that are going to be firing up along the New South Wales coastline, because as you can see, Wednesday is just an all-out mayhem day for storms, even into New South Wales and parts of Victoria. Storms extending out towards Dubbo, Orange, Wagga Wagga, Parks, and even Griffith and Hayes. Some storms are possible out there with some good rainfall totals possible. And then later on to the night, you can see the squall line, or the late night kind of powerful thunderstorm. It's not an unknown feature into the southeastern Queensland area, but it moves through Brisbane and the Gold Coast later on Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, just touching up those rainfall accumulations and bringing some small hailstones to the metro area, likely late on Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, a little bit of reprieve from the thunderstorms. Still some severe ones are possible along the central Queensland coastline and the northern parts of the Sunshine Coast. Storms also extending up into the northern parts of Queensland. Thunderstorms also expected on Friday the 15th of November. You can see thunderstorms extending further inland out towards Emerald and Rolleston. It looks like it's going to be more of a central and inland parts of Queensland thunderstorm outbreak, powered by some very warm temperatures up towards 42, 43 for Longreach even on Friday. It is going to be a warm one, that's for sure. These warm temperatures here, like I just said, are going to give way to some powerful thunderstorms. It looks like they're going to spare the Sunshine Coast and the Gold Coast, though, on Friday. Just a few showers possible, but in terms of thunderstorms, doesn't look awfully likely at this time. And then Saturday is our first day where I can confidently say that severe thunderstorms, they're not likely. They're just a kind of small chance at this time, deeper into the inland parts of Queensland. Saturday is going to be our first day of reprieve. Sunday, however, right back to the thunderstorms and continuing into the parts of next week. Monday and Tuesday, we outlined big-time severe thunderstorms for parts of Queensland and into New South Wales. This is something I want to talk about in greater detail in a future forecast update. But yeah, it looks like from Saturday, we're going to get a little bit of reprieve, at least a 24-hour period of minimal thunderstorm activity across parts of Queensland. Now, again, and I've been getting a lot of comments about this, is that I'm calling for severe thunderstorms every single day. Well, this is Queensland in November, and this is peak storm season. Thunderstorms and severe ones, to be frank, happen pretty much every single day. Queensland receives a thunderstorm every single day in the month of November, pretty much without fail, and storms are expected across the southeastern corners of Queensland pretty much every single day. I believe 22 out of 30 days of the month of November. So again, that's why we're calling for such a vast quantity of severe thunderstorms. I also said that this storm season was going to be a brute with a lot of severe thunderstorm activity, and it is living up to that name as well. Of course, if you have any questions or concerns about how I make these forecasts, then please do ask me in the comment section down below, and I'd be more than happy to explain it to you. I don't want to leave anyone in fear of thunderstorms on this channel. I just want to be the guy that presents the weather to you in a cool, calm, and collected fashion. But of course, if you have problems, or if you've got feedback or corrections that you'd like to provide, then please do let me know in the comment section down below. I'm always open to feedback. Now, in terms of the rainfall as well, I did talk about that being a concern for parts of New South Wales and Queensland. It's not so much a concern in terms of how much rainfall is coming, it's just the fact that the total accumulations are starting to add up, and I thought that it was definitely worthwhile talking about it. Specifically tonight into early tomorrow morning as well, we're going to see some high rainfall accumulations, and like I said, potentially triple figures across some locations of southeastern Queensland around that sort of Wallumbilla, Stanthorpe and Warwick area. We are going to see some high rainfall accumulations, and even up towards Toowoomba as well, and Crow's Nest accumulations up towards sort of 50 to 80 millimetres are possible tonight into early tomorrow morning. 10-day rainfall accumulations also pretty high, up towards 150 millimetres outside of Grafton and Coffs Harbour. In fact, some spots here up towards 170 millimetres. So some very decent rainfall accumulations expected out there. This is 10 days, of course, so we're talking about a combined accumulation of rainfall over the next 10 days. When you average it out, it's only about 15 to 20 millimetres a day, which really isn't anything worth writing home about in this part of Queensland at this time of the year, but it is definitely worth mentioning that this rainfall is adding up. And considering the volume of thunderstorms and showers that we are expecting over the next 10 days, it's very likely that this forecast is accurate, with the rainfall expected to pile on in this fashion over such a wide expanse of areas over the next 10 days, which is fantastic to see, because these locations here do need the rainfall at this time of the year. Outside of Rolleston as well, if you've been watching the cursor for the last 20 seconds, you can see accumulations of towards 100 millimetres expected there. Outside of Ogmore and Rockhampton as well, from thunderstorms expected to blow through at the beginning of next week on the 18th, 19th and 20th of November respectively. So some very good accumulations are expected out there. Unfortunately, this isn't going to be happening anytime soon. It is more so later on into next weekend and into early next week, where those accumulations really do start to pile on there. So central Queensland, it looks like you've got some rain coming, but you might have to wait another week to properly receive it at this time. But if it does fall in the fashion that this forecast is suggesting, you're going to be in for some pretty welcome and some pretty high rainfall accumulations up into those triple figures. So that is a bit of good news for those locations there. Desperate for some rainfall, very good to see indeed. And good rainfall extending down into New South Wales as well. It's less severe, and the thunderstorms down there aren't expected to be as powerful, but still they will be widespread, and widespread enough to cause some heavy accumulations here and there, which is again fantastic to see. The rainfall still, though, refusing to pile on up into the Cape York Peninsula for parts of far northern Queensland at this time of the year. We do expect to be in a bit of a drier spell, but as you can see by the drought monitoring maps right now and the soil moisture values, they are below average at this time across parts of far northern Queensland. Outside of Innisfail, you can see accumulations, or soil moisture values rather, are about 20 to 30% below average. They're still significantly above average across parts of the Daintree, in fact about twice as wet as usual up there, but we're definitely starting to see some drought-like conditions develop for especially the Atherton tablelands. So the rainfall here, the longer that it waits, the more intense this drought is going to get, and the more concerned some of the residents up there are going to get for some rainfall. They do desperately desperately needed at this time. And unfortunately, over the next 10 days, there's really nothing on the cards. A few showers and storms expected here and there, but nothing that's going to quench the basically drought-like conditions that they are currently embedded in. However, the good news here is that the GFS is suggesting some rainfall from an onshore flow expected sometime next Tuesday and Wednesday. This is still very much up in arms, and a lot of details need to be ironed out in the forecast for this to actually come to fruition. But this is the first real signal of some proper wet season rainfall for season 24-25 at some point next Tuesday and Wednesday, the 19th and 20th of November. So again, get excited for this at this time. It's not an expected feature on the forecast, and there's a high chance that it completely busts out. But at this time, I do like to be the bearer of good news, and it looks like some rainfall here is going to come and quench that drought up in the Atherton tablelands, according to the GFS forecast model, which is a very reliable forecast model. Unfortunately, though, for cyclone lovers, nothing in terms of cyclone activity on the forecast either, so we're going to have to wait a couple more weeks at least until we start to see rumbles of activity. Eastern WF also not suggesting any cyclone activity, but they are suggesting an awful lot of rainfall for parts of WA and the Northern Territory. Not so much over the next 5 days, but more so over the next 5 to 10 days beyond about Saturday and Sunday. You can see some good storms expected to fire up into parts of WA, especially into the Gascoyne and the Pilbara, with some good rainfall accumulations possible as well. Looks like under the influence of some warm weather that we're expecting this weekend down in Perth in the southwest of WA, some storms look possible to cap off both Saturday and Sunday down into the southwest, and whether Perth gets some thunderstorms as well, it looks possible at this time, but it doesn't look awfully likely. We're going to need to keep watching this forecast quite closely for parts of the southwest, but it looks like we might have a conducive setup for a bit of a thunderstorm outbreak at some point next week for parts of the Gascoyne, the Pilbara, and then into the Wheatbelt in the southwest corner of Western Australia. A bit of a widespread rainfall event here, and highly unusual for this time of the year, but certainly something worth talking about. You can see some good rainfall accumulations also possible here outside of Mount Magnet and Meekatharra, accumulations up towards 100 millimeters. Perth expecting about 40 millimeters, but as you can see between other forecast models, the rainfall is going to be very hit and miss, but it looks possible at this time. So for Perth residents, get excited, some summer rainfall might be on the cards for you. And this is the last time that I'm going to talk about the heat for Queensland, I hope, for a good couple of days. But you can see temperatures already soaring across central parts of the state. 36 right now in Cloncurry, 35 in Mount Isa. And those temperatures are going to continue to warm up throughout the course of today, with temperatures expected to extend into 40 degrees Celsius kind of thresholds for the remainder of this working week, unfortunately, before it cools down a little bit for this weekend. Wednesday, we're expecting a very warm day across parts of WA as well. You can see temperatures expected to go up into the mid-40s. Thursday as well, temperatures again into the mid-40s for Marble Bar, 42, 43 expected, and then up towards 45 or 46 outside of Port Hedland and 80 Mile Beach, typical for this time of the year, but again, still going to be very, very warm and quite uncomfortable for some of the people up there just not used to the heat for this summer at this time. Anyways, it's been a long-winded forecast update once again, a lot to get through in terms of thunderstorms, wet weather, heat waves, and just the tropics as well. It really is an active period around Australia at this time. I'd like to give a special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now, and I could not run this show without them, so again, their support is much appreciated. If you haven't already, then please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for all of the recent people that have subscribed as well. It's been much appreciated. Leave a comment in the comment section, leave a like on the video as well, and that is all for me today, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.